Hey Stampers, Diane Dimich here with ddStamps.com, and today I am here in my stamp room playing with Stampin' Up's new hot foil system. So yesterday I spent the day just foiling and learning and trying to figure out my machine and how it works, and it was so much fun, and I have lots of samples to show, but I just wanted to quickly go over a couple of things with the new foiling machine. Our machine actually was made to go through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So this one here is the one that it works through that I know of for sure. There is my understanding that there is one of the big shots, and I'm not sure which one. It's not the one that we used to sell, the black one. The platform's too small, so the machine won't fit through there. However, there is one out there that will work. So our machine, like I said, I hadn't foiled before. I kind of heard about it, but like I spent all day yesterday foiling and having fun. It's fairly easy to use. There's a couple of nuances, so it will depend on your Stampin' Emboss machine. Just kind of getting used to it and the shims and everything else. So I'm going to flip my camera and we're going to talk about it a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how you foil, and I will then show you the samples of things I made. All right, so let me flip my camera. So this is the actual machine, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. Because it takes a while for it to heat up. So once you plug it in, this little red light's going to go off, and pretty soon it's going to have a little beep, and the red light's going to go solid, and then it's ready for your foiling to begin. Some of the things that come with it, it has this platform that's silicone that it sits on, because this does get warm underneath. So that's going to just protect my surface. And then I have this silicone mat, so when I'm done with my dies, I can pull them off with this magnetic tool, and I'll show that here, and then set them here for them to cool. And then you have some plates that you're going to use with your foiling systems. As you can see, I foiled onto my plate, no big deal. I can actually take that off with alcohol wipe or something that will take that off, or I can just leave it because it just looks like a well-loved thing. This is not going to affect any other projects that I do. All right, so while that's warming up, I'm going to show you the die that I'm going to show today is the Garden Silhouette hot die. And our dies, our hot foil dies, come in gold. So for instance, let me grab another one here. This one here, the hot foil dies are in gold, and then the die cutting dies are in black. So that's just kind of how they're showing the different dies. I have several sets. Let me show you what else, because I bought a couple of different things. This one here, I used yesterday, the Botanical Glow with the stamp set. So the stamp set coordinates, but it's not matched up with this. So when you foil and then, or you stamp and then you foil, I'll show you in a card. It doesn't match up, but it looks beautiful together. I have this one. Let me grab the stamp set. This one actually has become one of my absolute favorites because you can foil frames and then die cut them out. But it also has a stamp set that coordinates with it. So there aren't any dies that cut anything out here, but this is just a really fun set. And so I haven't made samples yet with the stamps. I've used the frames quite a bit, and I love them. And then the last one, which you'll see, I did a lot of stuff with this. So these are the foil dies, and then these are all die cuts. And so you get some standalone die cuts, and then you foil, or you get die. It's all one piece. Let me show that to you. So I put them on magnetic plates just because there were so many little pieces. But this is the foil die, and then this actually cuts them all out at the same time. So like that. So you can just see how it matches up and you cut them out. And like I said, I do have several projects that I use this one with. The other thing that the butterfly dies and stamp set or dies come out with is stencils, decorative masks to color them. All right. So today I'm just going to quickly show this die, this big background die. It looks like this. Also, I wanted to let you know that the foil that we carry right now comes in, let me grab it here, gold, light pink, and silver. And Stampin' Up! Does recommend that you use the foils that we carry, but you can always test out if you have others. All right, so here, these are the foils that comes with the actual, or you purchase. All right, so let me move some stuff out of the way. Let me grab a piece of cardstock, a couple pieces of cardstock. It's my understanding that this, to begin with, takes about 6 minutes for it to heat up before you can get started. All right, so it did take a little bit over 6 minutes for it to heat up, but it's ready to go now. And so the light is red, and I can place my die. So I'm going to use this die to begin with. I can place that on there. And I will tell you that this is warm. The plate does get hot, and it says that on there to caution the plate gets hot. And so this, and then you're going to press this little white button once you put that on there. And that's going to time it. It's going to have a little yellow light here. This is going to time it to how long it takes for your die to warm up. And enough to start foiling. So during that time, I cut my foil, and you can see there's a shiny side and a dull side. You want to make sure when you put your foil on that you're going to put it directly onto the die, and you're going to do the pretty side down. So you can put it directly in. And then I cut some cardstock, and I just cut some pieces of basic white to get started. I could cut these bigger because this is a wider die than a regular card base that I usually do, but I just cut it this size for now. And all I did was actually just took my foil and I kind of just laid it out for how long that is, and then decided to cut it off. But if I'm going to use a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 sheet piece of cardstock to lay on here, I cut this at 5 1/2, just so it's ready. And then what we're waiting for is for this to beep. And then when it beeps, you can go ahead and place the foil, the shims, and the cardstock on. So it takes a little bit of time. I think this is the hardest part, is the waiting. But what I've been doing during this waiting period is just making something, preparing something else. Okay, so the light is green. It's ready to go. I can take my foil and lay it onto my die. And then take my cardstock and lay that on top of that. And then take the shims. So I'll put the green shim down first and the clear shim on second. I'm going to go ahead and unplug it. Let me bring in my Stampin' Cut and Boss machine. Unplug this. We're going to put this right through the machine. And when you're going through the machine, you just want to do it slowly. That foil has to melt onto the cardstock, and so if you go slow, you're going to get a much better impression on your foil. And then when I pull this off the other end, move my machine there for a minute. Actually, I'm going to put this on here and start heating it again for the next project. Then you have your sheet of cardstock with the foil on it, and you just peel it back, and you can see how you get that beautiful foiled shine. Now this piece, I'm going to show you what I do with that. But isn't it, it's just gorgeous. I mean, the foil, the shine. The texture depends on what you're foiling. So yesterday I was foiling, let me do something here first. I'm going to show you a little technique with this upside down. And so I do need to wait for it to get warm again. All right, so on this one, I use basic white, but you can use vellum, acetate sheets, window sheets, cardstock. You might get some texture to it. Our two-tone cardstock works really well because it's so smooth. But I don't mind the texture. Everything does just a little bit differently, so it's great. Once you've got this piece, you can have it just like this. You can color on it. You can blend on it. You can put colors on it. And I'll show you some samples. So now this next piece, I'm going to show you how to take your piece of foil and use that to do another piece of cardstock. And so when you're looking at your die or you're looking at your foil sheets, think about that so that you could lay these out and then use the reverse, I guess we'll call it, cardstock piece. So hopefully this will get done here and ready to go soon. And again, we're just waiting for it to turn so that we are allowed then to put the foil and the paper and the cardstock on. All right, it's ready to go. So this time I'm going to take that foil piece that I've already foiled. I'm going to put the pretty side down onto that plate. I'm going to add my cardstock. I'm going to put on the shim. I'm going to press that little button and get it ready. Now you'll notice I did things a little bit differently this time, and this is what I found with my machine. When I'm foiling just with the regular foil on the side that they have facing up as the foil, the actual die, I usually put the die on and let that heat up and then add the foil, the cardstock, the shims. However, when I'm doing a back or the reverse piece, I get it ready to go. Once it beeps, I add the foil, the cardstock, and the shims, and I let them all heat up together. And I've just found with my machine that that works the best way. I get a much better impression, and I'm going to show you some samples of things I did. And not that they're terrible, they're not, but I learned some things from it. So I have some samples to show as soon as this is going to be, because I know if I show them right now, it's going to beep. All right, so now we're ready to bring in the Stampin' Emboss machine. Unplug that. Put this through. And again, this time we're going to go very slow because we have a lot of foil that we're trying to transfer onto that cardstock. And if you wanted to, you actually could run it through twice. I might do that with this just because it's such a full sheet of foil. Come back through. Place that in there. Move this out of the way. And then we'll pull this off. And actually, you can look at it when it's still on the platform and see if it foiled. If it didn't, you could start the process all over by heating this up again and going through it. But this one worked really well. Like I said, I did some testing yesterday. I'm just going to pull this off so you can see that that piece of cardstock is foiled. Most of the foil, there's all the foil really, a little bit down here that didn't transfer, but that's okay. So that is finally a piece of used up foil. That's one thing I've learned is that you get a lot of foil and you can actually do a lot of things with it. So this is the reverse of this one. So when you're looking at your dies, look at the different ways that you can reverse them and use them. Anyway, okay, so let me show you how I started out yesterday using the same die. This was the first one that I did, and you can see where I still kept it because this is going to be really fun to sponge some ink on there or even just that. It's beautiful and it just has a real textured look to it. So this one I actually set up like I did all my other dies, and it just didn't heat the foil like it should have. The second one, I tried it again, and the gold foil worked better, but not perfect, but I still like it. It's, you know, it's missing a few spots. And then I went with the hot pink, and that's when I decided to heat up the die with the foil, the cardstock, and all that on it the whole time. And that's when it really shined, literally. Anyway, so there's just a couple pieces that I have. I'm going to make something with these. I just haven't yet. But I love that you can just reverse this die and use it. So one of the things, we have this little magnetic tool to pick up and transfer it to the rubber mat where it's not going to burn anybody. You just have to remember that this does get hot, and be careful. I don't have kids around, so I don't have to worry too much about that. Okay, let me show you the cards I made. Because what I did yesterday is I just foiled a bunch of stuff and played with it and had a whole bunch of pieces and then put cards together. So this was the very first card that I did. I did the silver foiled background with the silver butterflies. And I actually used the stencils or the masks to color those in. And you can see on this label, if you were looking really close, there's a little overfoiling here on here. And I have since learned that you can use an eraser. I'll show you which one I'm using. I just have one of these adhesive erasers that I've been using if I have overfoiling that I want to get rid of. So there's the first card. Then I decided to do a little foiling on vellum. And I'll show you the first card I did. You can see on this one, it didn't foil very well. I had a lot of spots that didn't foil. But I was okay with it. I just colored it and went with it. Again, I think with the vellum, you have to keep the vellum on your hot plate longer than just putting it on right before you put it through the machine. So, and it has a little texture to it anyway. So there's that one. Oh, and then I actually embossed this sentiment on here, and this is one of the foil frames. That's the one I really love. But this embossing you do afterwards, because you can't emboss a piece of cardstock and then put it on that. It's going to just flatten it out. All right, then I did another foil gold where I actually put the gold vellum onto the plate and let it heat up with the die. And that turned out really well. And then I actually colored this little butterfly. So this little butterfly I had colored with the masks, but then I wanted to use the colors that I used in my card, so I used a little bit of blends on there. And so far what I found is that the blends don't adhere to the gold foiling. I'm going to play today and actually see if that's true, or if I was just using a really light blend and it didn't show up. But I will I'll let you know how that works. Then I pulled out this leaf stamp or die. And of course I had the label and this butterfly done already. But again, I embossed this after I did the foiling on that card. That one I love. And then I pulled out the stamp set and everything that I foiled. So I pulled out the leaves, and you can see where they don't match up. They're really meant to be just kind of airy. I colored in my butterflies. So these were colored in with the stencil, or the mask, excuse me. And then I actually took a blend marker and went around the edges to give it the same tone as the cardstock, because I felt like the white cardstock that I used, the basic white cardstock, made the outline just too bold, and I wanted it to soften it up a little bit. Here is one of the sentiments that I did. As you can see, you foil it and then you cut it out with a die. So super easy, fun little projects. If you have any questions about the foiling system, feel free to contact me. Email me, you can call me, you can email me. I would be more than happy to answer, and if I don't know the answer, I will find out and get you the correct information. I know that Stampin' Up! Recommends that you use our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine with it. And it works great. I've had a lot of fun. And I look forward to a lot more foiling. I can't wait for Christmas. Anyway, take care, and I hope you had a great day.